Artificial intelligence is one of the most revolutionary technologies of the last century, and so is crypto. And when you put the two together, you have the potential for insane disruption. That could be an absolute game changer. And just this past week, Apple unveiled its long-awaited AI product, and it absolutely destroyed one crypto sector in particular. And in this video, I want to take a closer look at that impact and actually look at Apple's new AI and how it impacts the crypto space. I'm going to explain everything you need to know in this video today as a blockchain developer myself who works this technology on a daily basis. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below and subscribe. And if you want to take advantage of all the insane opportunity that's happening right now in the crypto space, then I can show you how to increase your income by becoming a blockchain developer over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. All right, so let's get into this. Let's talk about Apple's new AI product and what it did to crypto last week. So Apple just unveiled its new artificial intelligence product, Apple Intelligence, at the WWDC 24 conference just last week. You know, Apple Intelligence, AI, they just went full on with this. This is a long rumored product that was highly anticipated. And before this big event, as expected, lots of people in crypto were taking positions in artificial intelligence coins, trying to speculate on what would happen at the event and capitalize on it. And this entire crypto sector got absolutely decimated after the product was unveiled. Okay. This is crazy how this stuff happens. Many AI coins lost 20 to 30% of their value really quickly. So why is that? Well, it could be the situation where you have people who are trying to buy the rumor, sell the news, but there's also a lot of people who just had general disappointment about what was unveiled at the WWDC conference from Apple and its AI features. And so if you're in the camp that's, underwhelmed or just has a general sense of disappointment for what Apple did, so let's actually take a look at Apple Intelligence and what's under the hood, and also talk about some ways in which this could have some intersection with what's going on in crypto. Okay, so what exactly is Apple Intelligence? Okay, well, first of all, it's not just a single feature or one particular app, and I think that's what threw a lot of people. I think there's a lot of hype and expectation that they were just unlock this thing that was this self-contained app or feature that just blew everybody's minds, that was going to eat ChatGPT's lunch, the next hot, greatest thing. But that's not really it. And when you actually look at the keynote or you look at Apple's website here, there's not really a clear explanation of exactly what Apple Intelligence is. It's not as succinct of a marketing pitch of the iPhone when it first came out, which set the bar for disappointment at lots of WWDC events ever since, because when the iPhone came out, it's basically like, hey, here's a phone, a web browser, and an iPod all in one. Makes perfect sense. But with Apple AI, it's less clear. So what are they? Well, first of all, they did basically turn Siri into ChatGPT, which is what I think a lot of people were expecting. But they actually did a lot more than that. They actually opened up all kinds of AI features across the entire platform on iOS, macOS, iPadOS, etc., etc. So you have to understand this is actually part of the course because Apple has already been using artificial intelligence in their products for a long time. For example, autocomplete on your keyboard is artificial intelligence. When you have that feature that it intelligently cuts people out of pictures, that's artificial intelligence. What they're doing now is actually getting into generative AI because that's where the hype has been for the past few years, okay? And they've brought generative AI models like large language models like ChatGPT, things like generative image creation like you've seen with Stable Diffusion or Midjourney, onto Apple devices themselves, and also the cloud. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But this has allowed it to integrate into many features. And I'm glad they did this because it's actually impressive. They didn't just turn Siri into ChatGPT. They started creating features with AI. So let's take a look at some examples of what those are. So one is they basically gave you writing tools across, many different applications. So you can have generative, text creation, like inside your emails, for example. And this makes a lot of sense. People use the Apple Mail client all the time. And if you can speed up your email workflow, then that's a huge win. Other things with writing is you can do things like proofread, rewrite documents. You can change it to be more like friendly, professional, concise. You can summarize text, get key points, table list, all that type of stuff. Again, par for the course for Apple because they're talking about business use cases and speeding up productivity and efficiency here. They're also jumping into artificial intelligence image creation. I was talking about the generative AI a minute ago with images. You can do things like integrate that right inside your application. So like if you're on iPadOS, for example, and you're using your Apple Pencil to create notes and you want to create an image inside of there, you can use prompts and then add pretty cool images to your stuff, even if you're not an artist, just like you see right here. Another one that's got people pretty divided is creating generative emojis. All right, so if you don't see an emoji on your keyboard, then basically you can use AI to create a new one. A lot of this AI stuff is all integrated to Siri, like I was talking about, basically turning Siri into ChatGPT. But one of the last ones that I want to talk about that's really just kind of a side note here, but I thought was one of the coolest ones, was actually updating the calculator on an iPad, okay, and making it to where you turn it into a tablet, and you can actually use the Apple Pencil to write out equations like, algebra or whatever, and it will solve them for you, okay? You just write the equation like you would, and you can solve with the variable. You can actually look at charts. Like you see this example here for projectile motion and table tennis. It can make graphs based on this data and all types of really cool stuff. Now, that's just an example of a few ways that they've taken, these artificial intelligence models and put them on the top end devices. That's key. It's not available on all iPhones, iPads, or Macs. You have to have a certain set of criteria in order to do that, and it's the highest end ones at this point in time. But they've taken the models, put them on the devices, and started integrating these features into lots of different apps across the entire Apple ecosystem. But what you have to understand, a lot of people were underwhelmed by this because, okay, I can create generative emojis, Siri's ChatGPT, which everybody expected. I can answer some emails faster, summarize. So, okay, so what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that the capabilities are there, and this is just the beginning. Like I was saying before, I got the iPhone the first day it came out. You have to understand, there was no app store. There was no GPS on the iPhone on day one, but these are features that came later and are ones that we take for granted every single day as iOS users. And this follows Apple's trend of basically creating the capability and getting it out there without everything people want and refining and iterating on that later. And I think that's what's happening with the AI stuff. I think the most impressive AI integrated features into the iPhone and other iOS platforms and macOS platforms, tvOS, whatever, are yet to come. Now, what the heck does all this have to do with crypto at all? Okay. Well, again, at the beginning of the video, I was talking about the correlation between AI-related cryptos and what's happening with Apple. Again, that's all based upon price speculation. It's not really what I'm most interested in. I'm most interested about the technology and what blockchain technology can do with the intersection of AI. I opened the video talking about how when you put those two together, it can be quite game-changing technology. So let's look at how these things can actually overlap. At the Apple event and after, one of the biggest discussions around this has been with two things: privacy of AI, and then also their relationship with ChatGPT, okay? So basically, we have all these models that have come to device now, like I was talking about, and that's a pretty big game changer, where basically, you can run generative AI like large language models like ChatGPT or image generation perhaps on your device. And the devices are capable of some of that stuff up to a point. However, it's very apparent that we're not going to have devices in our pocket anytime soon that possess the full capabilities to do what consumers are going to demand of artificial intelligence over the long term. So Apple kind of has multiple strategies for doing this. The stuff that can happen on your device will stay on your device. The next level up is stuff that needs to go to the cloud to process, will process basically on Apple servers and be as private as possible with that type of one-way or two-way communication. Now, there's another level, which is if it can't do it on device, can't do it on Apple servers, then they'll send it to third-party servers like ChatGPT. Now, to Apple's defense, anytime that happens, you will consciously know that it's happening because you have to opt into it. And they do it in a non-shady way. It's very clear in the UI. But that's evidence that it's not going to run on consumer hardware. It's not even going to run on Apple servers. And there's always going to be a third party, probably, who does this better than the people who are creating the devices and sending them off to consumers. And that's potentially where crypto comes into play, okay? So I've made many videos on my channel talking about the potential of artificial intelligence and crypto for these large language models because, a lot of people don't trust centralized artificial intelligence because it can consume your data. We don't necessarily know how the model weightings work. There's potential for bias, for errors, all that type of stuff. It's centralized and it requires trust. However, there's all types of potential to create decentralized, open artificial intelligence models that can be better than what we have now. So it's not like they're going to run on a blockchain necessarily, but they can be open in the sense that we can do things like create open source models where people can see exactly how they work, where you can still conceal trade secrets like model weightings, And you can do these things with like zero knowledge proofs, where you can prove that the model is doing what it's supposed to without revealing the weightings of the model itself. We have the promise of architecting things where your data is more private and you can take ownership over your data, more like Web 3.0. And that's exactly where I think we could see, blockchain technology and crypto fit into this existing consumer demand model. And that's one way I'm excited about it, where you could basically do that without having users hold cryptocurrency, create wallets, or anything like that. All right, so that's an overview of Apple Intelligence that was released last week, what it did to the crypto sector, and how crypto can potentially respond over the long term to satisfy the demand for AI in a decentralized way over time. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Did you watch the Apple event? Were you underwhelmed by this? Are you excited about this? Do you think there's any room for crypto to fit into this equation? I want to hear from you. And whenever you're finished leaving your comment, make sure you smash that like button down below and subscribe. And if you want to take advantage of all the insane opportunity that's happening in the crypto space right now, I can show you how to increase your income by becoming a blockchain developer over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You really ought to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.